everybody, and thank you for tuning into Nizzy Sports Chat. I am your host, Nizzy, and in this video, you guys, we're going to take a look at some of the free agent / trade options at the wide receiver position for the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, after the big news broke last week of Davante Adams getting traded to the Vegas Raiders, I should say, not the Oakland Raiders. Obviously the Packers have a huge opening at the wide receiver position now. MVS Marquez Valdez-Scantling is also headed over as a free agent to the Kansas City Chiefs after they send Tyreek Hill over to the Dolphins. It's been an absolutely crazy offseason so far in the NFL, you guys. Lots of big-time trades, lots of big-time moves across the league so far. Like I said, we'll talk about some of the options for the Green Bay Packers in this video, kind of figuring out how we can address the wide receiver room. Obviously, there's not a lot of talent in that room right now for the Packers. You got guys like Allen Lazard, Amari Rodgers, who was drafted last year in the 3rd round, and you got Randall Cobb there as well, one of Aaron Rodgers' old running mates who was drafted by the Packers almost a decade ago now. Obviously we're going to have to address this position. There's definitely probably the biggest area of need for the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, we addressed the D-line there, signing Jaron Reed a few days ago, you guys. I think that's a pretty nice signing, just to help out the D-line a little bit. But anyways, you guys, let's go ahead and get into the free agent / trade options at wide receiver position. I got 5 guys that we're going to take a look at today, that would be helpful for the Green Bay Packers to pick up to give Aaron Rodgers a nice number 1 or number 2 target out there. Right, real quick before we start breaking it down, you guys, if you go ahead and like this video, if you like sporting content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more sporting content like this in the near future. Been getting a lot of support on the channel lately, you guys, and I greatly appreciate it. We're going to keep coming out with as much content as possible for you guys. But without further ado, man, let's go ahead and start breaking down some of the wideout options here for the Packers. Starting off most notably at the number 1 spot here, you guys. We're going to break them down from my most favorite to my least favorite options here for the Packers. And my most favorite option in this one is Brandon Cooks, you guys. A wide receiver for the Houston Texans right now. Dude's been an absolute beast his entire career. Very undervalued and underappreciated wide receiver in today's game. He's had 6 1,000-yard seasons in his career. I think he's played 8 years in the league. So 6 out of the 8 years that he's played in the league, he's had 1,000-yard seasons. The last 2 seasons he's played with the Texans, and we know how bad the Texans have been the last couple of seasons here, you guys. And he's had 1,000-yard receiving seasons in both seasons with the Texans, which is very impressive, especially last year as well. He had Davis Mills thrown to him for most of the season. Obviously, they were an awful team last year, and he still had over 1,000-yard receiving season. Like I said, he's a great veteran presence, short-handed receiver, great route runner. He's only 28 years old as well, so he's still in the prime of his career, 1 year younger than Davante. I think Davante was 29. He's on the last year of his contract as well, I believe. I think he's got around a $16 million cap hit right now. Obviously a little bit bigger than what the Packers would like, but I have no doubt if we did trade for this guy, that we'd probably end up signing him to a 2 or 3 year extension and lower those cap numbers down, get him on a team-friendly deal for this year, maybe give him a big signing bonus or something like that to have that cap hit lowered for the 2022 season. But yeah, you guys, let's talk about what it would probably cost to go ahead and get Brandon Cooks here. Obviously, the Packers have a lot of picks in this year's draft, so we got lots of draft capital to be able to trade away to grab a guy like Brandon Cooks. Personally, to me, I think he's going to be costing probably two draft picks for the Green Bay Packers or one more top-heavy pick. Personally, I'd rather give a couple low-end picks away for him. So we have 2 picks in the 4th round and 3 picks in the 7th round right now in this year's draft. So I think if we give away 1 4th rounder and 1 7th rounder, I think we'd be able to snag Brandon Cooks because, like I said, he is on the last year of his deal. It's not like the Texans are going anywhere. At least they get some sort of draft capital for the guy. Like I said, I think we'd be able to snag him on a short-term extension, maybe a 2 or 3 year extension. And I think he'd be a great number 1 option for Aaron Rodgers there, you guys. He's got 46 career touchdowns as well. Like I said, 6 years of over 1,000 yards receiving, so there's no doubt this guy would fill the void of Davante Adams. Obviously, we need to add somebody else through the draft or another trade / free agent option, in my opinion. I don't think one guy is going to do it for us, but I think Brandon Cooks would be a nice addition for sure. So that's the best option I got right now, you guys. I think he would be the best fit for our squad. So moving on to the number 2 slot, you guys, is another trade that I got listed here, and this one's going to be for Tyler Lockett from the Seahawks. I know there's been a lot of talks about DK as well. I got him later down in my list here, you guys, so we'll go over DK Metcalf later, but right now I got Tyler Lockett as the number 2 here just because I think he would be a better fit with the Green Bay Packers over DK, in my opinion, you guys. Like I said, same thing. You're probably going to have to give up a couple draft picks for him. He's going to probably require higher than a 7th rounder in this one, so I think you can probably get away with giving a 4th round and a 5th round pick to acquire Tyler Lockett. I think the Seahawks would make that trade. He's got a $10 million cap hit this year, and he is also under contract until 2025. So you have this guy for a few years. If you do trade him, he's got a bigger cap hit, obviously. In the upcoming seasons, I think he's got a 15 or 16 mil cap hit next season, and then the same thing the year after is around $16-17 million cap hit. So obviously you could, rework that contract and be able to get those cap numbers down a little bit if you do end up trading for him. Tyler Lockett's an outstanding receiver, you guys. He's 29 years old, so he's not too old as well. Hasn't missed a game in 4 years. I think he's only missed, out of his entire career, he's had one season where he only played 15 out of the 16. Every other season he's played all 16 games, maybe not as a starter in every game, but he has played in all 16 games for every season other than one season in his career. So he's very reliable, trusty wide receiver. He's going to be able to go out on the field, day in and day out. He's very rarely getting injured, which is huge. He's got 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons as well. He's, one of the go-to guys for Russell Wilson when Russell Wilson was still with the Seahawks. 45 career touchdowns as well. He's great with the deep ball. He's just so good at being able to, pinpoint where that deep ball is in the air. Those over-the-shoulder catches are just gnarly that he'll haul in from Russell Wilson from time to time. You know what I mean? Just a very good veteran player. I think he'd be a great locker room guy as well. Just a good, solid dude all around. Comes there with his hard hat on, ready to work. No drama, no BS coming from this dude either. I think he'd fit great in the locker room with the Packers. And I think he'd be a heavy production guy as well. I think he'd have an over 1,000-yard season again with Rodgers there. I think he'd be a great deep threat for us as well. He's a phenomenal route runner. And like I said, you got him under contract for a few years, so there's no doubt you'd be able to kind of restructure that contract and probably keep him for the rest of his prime. He is 29 years old right now, so if you could keep him for the next 2 to 3 years, while you have Aaron Rodgers for the remainder of his career, that would be huge in my opinion. So that's my number 2 option, you guys, is Tyler Lockett. Either one of those, Brandon Cooks or Tyler Lockett, would be 2 of my favorite guys to go get via trade. I think they would be great fits with the Packers, you guys. And then moving over to the number 3 slot, you guys, we have a free agent on our list now. This guy's going to be Will Fuller. Obviously, the Packers were in contact with him a couple of years ago, trying to acquire him from the Texans at the trade deadline. Obviously, that fell through. He ended up going over to Miami last year, ended up getting suspended, I believe, for PED use. So he never played very much last year, had a very underwhelming season. I think he only caught 6 or 7 passes the whole year. Like I said, wasn't really part of the team, missed a bunch of the year to the suspension. Deals with a lot of injuries as well. Will Fuller is definitely a guy who's injury prone, has had a lot of injuries throughout his career. But when he is healthy and when he is on the field, he's an immense deep threat. The dude could take the top off the defense, very similar to MVS. He's got pretty good route running ability. He can high point the football. He's got pretty good hands as well. I don't think he can be a number 1, but he can definitely be a solid number 2 for you. I think to be able to acquire this guy, you're probably going to have to sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal. I mean, personally, if we could get Will Fuller on the squad, you guys, he also is familiar with Matt LaFleur. Him and Matt LaFleur used to be on the same team together. Matt LaFleur used to be his coach with Notre Dame back when he was in college. So that could be a nice fit as well, having those two reunite. But like I said, for the deal aspect of things, you guys, I feel like if we could get him on a 3-year deal, around $20 million, that $15 to $20 million range, keeping him around that $6 to $7 million per season, and then maybe even giving him a signing bonus to drop those cap numbers down under $5 million for this first season here in 2022. I think that would be a good team-friendly deal for the guy, and he hasn't really proven himself as a big-time wide receiver. I think he has the potential to be a great number 2, a guy who can potentially get you a 1,000-yard season. He has never had a 1,000-yard season, mainly due to injuries. Has not really played any full seasons since he's been in the league. So if he could somehow stay healthy, have a good season with us, I'd have no doubt he'd be able to get over 1,000 yards with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football. So we'll just have to see what happens, you guys. His best season as a receiver for note here was his 2020 season, his last season with the Texans there. He had 53 catches for 879 yards and 8 touchdowns. So that shows you a little bit. If the guy can play a full season, stay healthy, he can be a pretty good asset to you. He can give you 50, 60 catches for close to 1,000 yards if he stays healthy for the whole year. So I think he would be a nice addition. That would probably be on the lower end of the pay scale for a decent wide receiver option in the free agent market. So we'll have to see if we decide to go and try and acquire him. And then over in the number 4 spot, you guys, there's another free agent wide receiver that I've been looking into here. I think he would also be a great fit with us. I think he'd also probably be on the cheaper end of things, probably be able to take a team-friendly deal, and that's Jarvis Landry, you guys. I think we could get him around a 2-year, $15 million deal, kind of the same thing as Will Fuller, around that 15 to 20 million, getting that $6 to $7 million a season range. I think that's a fair deal for Jarvis or Will Fuller. Same thing with Jarvis. He's 29 years old, still at the end of his prime here. He's had 3 1,000-yard seasons throughout his career, 37 total touchdowns. Didn't play a lot last year, was dealing with some injuries. Tough fucking dude, though, played through the injuries last season. Probably could have missed a lot more games than he did. But like I said, he gutted it out and toughed it out and played through probably a good 5 or 6 games last season where he was injured that he ended up playing through. He ended up finishing the game only 12 games last season that he played in. Finished with 52 catches for 570 yards and 2 touchdowns. So pretty good numbers for not playing a full season. Obviously, Baker was injured as well, so it's not like he had a quarterback who was getting him the ball consistently. So I definitely think he could be a 1,000-yard receiver for us as well, if he were to come over to the Green Bay Packers. Not to mention Jarvis has a great leadership quality about him. He's really, really good hauling in contested catches as well. He's got phenomenal hands. Very rarely drops any footballs. So this guy just to be a sure-handed catch, be good in the clutch time situations. He's really good on those short to medium routes. You can hit him with the jet sweep as well, coming around the end arounds there. So I just think he'd be a nice addition that would kind of fit the style of offense that Matt LaFleur likes to run. And like I said, his leadership qualities and the veteran presence in the locker room, I think, would be good to have him around, especially if we do end up drafting a couple young wide receivers in this year's draft. So that's who I have for a second free agent, you guys. And then we got one more trade option. I had mentioned it earlier in the video, so we'll talk about him last here. This is my least favorite option on the list just because I'm not a huge DK fan, you guys. But I do think he would be a help to the team. I just think he's a little bit too much of a crybaby, in my opinion. He whines and complains a little too much when he doesn't get his way. I remember seeing him bitching and complaining when the ball's not getting thrown to him when he was playing with the Seahawks and Russell Wilson last season. I just don't like his demeanor as a player out on the field. Like I said, he's kind of that diva wide receiver who kind of whines and cries when he doesn't get the ball enough, or he doesn't get, flags thrown when he feels like he's being held, or, there's a pass interference called. He's just constantly whining and bitching. I can't stand players like that, in my opinion, you guys, so I really hope we don't get DK. Although I understand his talent, I understand he's a top-end talent. He's almost had 3 1,000-yard seasons since he came into the league. I just don't really like the guy's demeanor and his personality, in my opinion. So I hope we don't get him. But at the end of the day, the dude is a big-time talent in this league for a wide receiver position. And there's no doubt he'd be able to help the squad out. I just don't think he's going to be able to move that needle and push us over the top to get us back to a Super Bowl, because I think you're going to end up dealing with internal locker room issues with this guy on the squad. But anyways, you guys, I think to be able to acquire DK, you'd probably have to give up a second-round draft pick as well as a fourth-rounder. That's my prediction, a second-rounder and a fourth-rounder. Obviously, he was picked up in the second round of the draft a couple years back there, so I think, given the Seahawks another second-round pick, you get your second-rounder back for him, plus an additional fourth-rounder. I think they would do that, especially since he's on the last year of his contract. He's going to be a free agent next year. He's going to be looking to make big bucks. That's another reason I don't really want to pick him up, because he's going to be looking for north of $20 million a season. I really just don't think he's worth that much. I think the wide receiver market's blown way out of proportion right now, and guys should not be making this much money, especially guys who haven't even been to any Super Bowls, only been in the league for a couple years. So like I said, man, we'll have to see what happens with that. He's a $4 million cap hit right now. He's still on his rookie deal, the last year of his rookie deal. I would assume he's going to want an extension if he does get traded. Like I said, if you're going to want to sign this guy, I would say the minimum amount he would probably sign is a 4-year, $80 million extension. So you're looking $20 million a season for the guy. Like I said, I can't really see him signing for less than that. Wouldn't even be surprised if he wants $25 million a season, the way these fucking contracts have been coming out lately for the wideouts. So it's just almost like not worth trading, in my opinion, because I think you're going to have to pay him way too much, way more than he deserves, in my opinion, you guys. But, we'll see what the Packers do. We'll see if they end up going for him. He did have a nice 1,300-yard season 2 years ago, 83 catches and 10 tuds. Last season, he had 967 yards, 75 catches, and 12 tuds. So the guy's got a knack for the end zone. You know, and he's one of those big-bodied, strong receivers. You know, I'm not knocking his talent. His talent is phenomenal. It's on par with some of the best in the league, no doubt about that. Like I said, I just don't like his demeanor as a person. I don't like his whiny crybaby antics out on the field when he's not getting as many targets as he wants. You know, or if he's not getting calls from the refs. Or if his team's losing. He just gets sulky and crybaby-ish, man. I don't want that shit on the Packers squad. We need guys that are hard-nosed, and, you know, when you get down in a game or you're down by a touchdown or two, that's when, you know, that fire gets lit and you're ready, okay? You know, you took the first punch to the face, now you get the fuck up off the mat and punch back, right? You know, you want hard-nosed guys like that, and I think Jarvis Landry fits that mold perfectly. Tyler Lockett as well, Brandon Cooks. Those are the kind of guys that I think would be a lot better fit. But I threw DK in there because I do think he is a phenomenal talent. And regardless of the maybe off the field or locker room issues that may occur, obviously this is all speculation and my own personal opinion on that. But at the end of the day, he would still be productive out on the field. So that's why I had him in that list of the top 5 as well, you guys. But that pretty well rounds this one out, you guys. Like I said, we got Brandon Cooks number 1, Tyler Lockett number 2, Will Fuller, Jarvis Landry, and then DK Metcalf rounding out the list here. Hopefully the Packers decide to pick up one of those 5 options and then still target 1 or 2 wideouts in the draft. Hopefully one in the first round, one in the second round. There's a lot of good draft targets to hit in the wide receiver group this year, you guys. So definitely can find our wide receiver of the future if we go ahead and target someone early on in the draft. So fingers crossed the Packers take a chance this draft and get a big-time wideout, you guys. Pick somebody up in the free agent/trade market here, and I think we'll be just fine for next season. So that pretty well rounds it out for this one. We'd love your guys' opinion in the comments section down below. Who would you most like to see off of this list of 5 guys come to the Green Bay Packers? Go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section down below. Once again, you guys, please go ahead and like this video if you like sporting content like this. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more sporting content like this in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching, man, and this is Nizzy with Nizzy Sports Channel.